everybody, this is David Eisenagel with No Chaser. Today's topic is going to be something somewhat depressing. They always are. If you talk about alcoholism and addiction, they're always depressing, so try to make it fun, I guess. But this one, I don't want to put lightly, but I know happens to people, myself included, many, many, many times, is the idea of the plans for betterment and the things we think we're going to do when we come up with an idea that we're going to do sober when we're drunk and or high. It goes for the same thing, because you always think in your head that this is the last one. This is the last high. This is the last use or drink or whatever. And then tomorrow I will do this thing. And usually you have like a backing of somebody that is like, yes, you have to do this, or you are going to lose your job or your children or something like that. And it's like, you think in your head, you go, oh, this is a good idea. If I like research this thing online and then maybe I try this thing and I do that, I could start a job, if only I had a job, if I could start that tomorrow. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. It can, definitely help you. But if you are struck just completely right, not even a rock and a hard place, pun for crack addicts, but if you are in a rock and a hard place and you just think you're saying that, sometimes you just are doing that to get people off your back. But sometimes you're saying that and you actually believe it. And that's something that I absolutely believed. I just thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to make myself a promise. I'm going to make myself a promise that if I am to do these things tomorrow is the key word. If I'm to do these things tomorrow, it's going to be all right. And you do that usually in the dusk, I would say. And you do it like late at night, and you make these promises late at night, and you just think about them that you really mean them in your mind. And the worst part is you do really mean that. Like you want to get better, no doy, and you want to attack something anew. But the problem is, whether it's drugs or alcohol, is that you go into the hangover with these same ideas. The idea that you were going to go to this job or apply for it, you're going to go and continue your education and then apply for it, or you're going to go and take on this extra work, start working out, start doing all these things. And all those things that seem so like, oh man, if the gym was only open right now, if I could only just start, all these things that seemed so attainable under the influence. Yes. And then you get to the real world. That's the most difficult part. I used to say that if, a lot of people wouldn't understand this, because why would they? It would be Alcoholics and Addicts. I would say that your true passion is something that you do even when you don't want to, when you're hungover. Something that when you're going through withdrawals of drugs or hungover, which is basically withdrawals, something you do during that time, that is what you want to do. Like, that is your true passion, because you don't want to do shit but that. But, that's the gut-wrenching thing, is that there are things that you could, if you just took time and practice, you could be able to do, but you think to your life, and you get in that mind state where, as long as you have that sweet nectar of a drug or alcohol, that anything seems possible. Like all of a sudden the windshield is clean and you can just kind of see, you go, okay, yes, if I could do this and I could do that and I can do this, that would actually, yeah, I could do this. I could absolutely do this. I could, you know what? As hopeless as this shit sounded, I could make this life work. But you do that when you have just, I don't know, a couple nips in you, one poke, a couple snorts. I don't know how it works. I haven't done drugs like that in a long time, but you believe that it will work because, one, it's comforting to believe, and two, because you're in a state where you don't feel super high, because at a certain point in your drug and alcohol usage, you are not getting high or drunk anymore. You're just getting level. So you feel like this is the normal thing. This is normal. And so these ideas that I'm coming up with this is a reality that I think I can do. As soon I have this like fire under my ass, and then as soon as I take this fire, I'm going to go to bed. It's not going to extinguish. I'll wake up and be ready to do the same. And you know what happens when you wake up? You are ready to get the alcohol and drugs. And then you'll start on the plan. I have lived this fate and this cycle, I guess you could say, so many times. And it is crushing how real it feels. How absolutely real that it feels, that you're like, yes, I don't care. This is my full plan here. I know I've just had a few drinks and I know I can't do this anymore, but this is how it's laid out and I'm going to do this. You wake up and it is, call it hangover withdrawals of drugs or anything like that. Do you even call drug hangovers? But it's in your mind that when you're intoxicated, when you have the chemical that your brain wants, then you plan for the future. It's one of the most brutal things that happens, because I, as a person that has worked in a couple of fields where I dealt with people that had drug and alcohol addictions, especially parents, you see them and they mean it. And that's the worst part about a lot of this stuff, is that you mean it. You absolutely mean that you want to stop. You absolutely mean that this new plan is going to work. And you absolutely mean that nothing is going to stop you. But then you wake up. Or you don't. You run out of drugs, like in some speedier drugs, you kind of go through that like unconscious state, and then you come back to reality, basically. Which is sad, because you come back to reality as normal people, but reality is so painful. Just normal person's reality. It is so painful because of the tolerance and everything you built up with drugs and alcohol, that you can't stand it so much that all your focus is numero uno. Get a little bit high, get a little bit drunk, and then you can formulate plans. I have been through this so much. I've seen, like, what spurned on this video is that I've seen people that meant it so hard in their hearts, and they were just like, I'm in this fucked up place, but when I'm out of here, and I'm gonna do it. I'm absolutely nothing stopping me. This is just like, I didn't even drink this much. I didn't even drink as much as I normally do, but I am going to start from here. And fuck yeah, it's going to be hard to even acknowledge that. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to go from here. It's never that same way, because you're doing it when you're under the influence. The biggest promises, the biggest things you could possibly make to let people know that you're sincere is the stuff you do when you are going through the withdrawals, or just sober regularly. You don't have to do that, but when you are going through the hangovers, everything else, and you go, yeah, I plan to do that. Okay, I will do that. It's never I plan, or there's no excitement anymore because the drug or alcohol is gone. And I've just seen so many people go through that phase. So this episode is especially about, not just my fellow alcoholics and addicts, anybody that has seen people go through this stuff and wonder, like, how can they go back on their word so quickly? This is why. It is because the chemicals in your brain zap out everything you wanted to do and just put you back at the normal space. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed this video, but yeah, I've been through this stage, and many other people have. If you like any of this content, I have a bunch more that gives you the experience of an alcoholic and addict. Again, not wisdom or advice, just what it's like to be one. And I hope we can find you some help. Other than that, be well.